call to order the legislative meeting of Borough Council for the month of November 2013. Please join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have some housekeeping matters to attend to first. We have a number of workshop and legislative and public hearing minutes that we need to approve. And do I hear a motion for approval of the October 3, 2013 workshop meeting minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor for approving the October 3, 2013 workshop meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes. Next, we have minutes, public hearing minutes from October 3, 2013. This is with regard to the application of the proposed Wawa. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the public hearing minutes from October 3, 2013, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay.
Right, actually, it's double-decker pizza.
So I think that the double-decker pizza was October 17th. Okay, so having sorted that out, all those in favor, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. The next set of meeting minutes concerns our last legislative meeting, October 17, 2013. Do I hear a motion to approve council meeting minutes for that day?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. And lastly, we have public hearing minutes from October 17, 2013. This was with regard to a liquor license concerning double-decker pizza on East Baltimore Avenue. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Before we get to public comment and privilege of the floor, I will announce that at our last meeting on October 17th, we met in executive session to discuss matters involving personnel and a matter involving borough property. All right, so having taken care of that housekeeping, let us now see if there's anyone here who wishes to address council. This is now public comment and privilege of the floor. Those who wish to address council, please come before the microphone and tell us who you are and where you live. All right, no takers tonight. Then we'll move into the reports, the engineer's report.
Thank you, President Hall. Engineers report for October 2013. We've prepared some sketches to repair an inlet for Haldeman Street and also an inlet in West Olive and South Franklin Street at the request of Mr. DeRosa. We also prepared and sent a draft list of roads for 2014 paving. We've also finishing out and closing out the contract paperwork for Joseph E. Super and Sons. I shouldn't say we attended various meetings in the borough. We also prepared and transmitted a preliminary plan review for 235 Jefferson Street. And we've also had communications with concrete contractors and prepared budget numbers for the repair of the Olive Street parking garage to the borough. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Any questions for Mr. Johnston?
Yeah, could you just give a quick update on the status of the Olive Street parking garage in terms of where we're at and what needs to happen next to get this done by next summer?
Sure. Where we're at is the plans and specifications are complete. I provided some estimates to the borough as to doing the garage, closing it down at one time, doing the whole garage. Then there was another estimate doing it 2 years, so you close it down for 2014, do work, then you close it down again for 2015, do work. And at this point in time, the borough needs to have a discussion to find which way forward. I do owe the borough a response back from one of the contractors, how long it would take if the entire garage was shut down at one time to do the complete repairs.
Any other questions?
When will we
Yeah,
get those
yes.
numbers out of curiosity?
Excuse me?
When will we get those estimates from the contractor?
You have the estimates.
I mean, the duration of time.
I've sent 2 or 3 emails since the workshop to the gentleman. Again, he does this pro bono. I try not to put too much pressure on the contractors. But I will continue to ask until he delivers again.
Okay.
Question, the shutting down all at one time, I know you don't know, but were you thinking if you do that option, it would be in 2014?
Yes. Unless council tells me differently.
Okay. All right. I'll have some comments later on that.
Good.
Actually, I have a question as well, not regarding the garage, but why is there a constant stream of water coming from the inlet, the outlet on South Olive Street on the block between State Street and Baker Street?
Unaware of that.
There's water constantly running down, and it's crossing the intersection, and if the temperature drops, it's going to make for a very
Could you
dangerous.
repeat again?
It's on the side where Ariana and Franklin Mint Bank are. And there is a little thing in the curbing. Like a cutout? I don't know. It's, every day there's water. And leaves, wet leaves.
I'm meeting Mr. DeRosa tomorrow. I will be sure to take Mr. DeRosa down and we will look at it.
Okay, thank you.
How long has it been going on?
Weeks in?
I'm going to say the same thing that the mayor always says. If you've known it's been happening for weeks, why'd you wait till the night to tell us?
Because I
better
just
have it- you
realized
better
that
have
the
it
temperature's
fixed by
going to
now.
drop, and it's, all these guys are pretty good,
The engineer will go out and sort these things out tomorrow.
So I assume he knew about it.
Any other questions of Mr. Johnson? I do have a quick question, Mr. Johnson. Hoopman Park, any updates on the Hoopman Park project? Or is
No.
that a question I ought to be asking Mr. Smith?
At this point, the Upper Providence Township Council has given formal approval, so the plans that have been reviewed by Borough Council have since been sent off to the PADCNR. Once they sign off on those, then we'll be coming back to Borough Council requesting that you authorize us to go out to bid on certain portions of the project. So my best guess is at this point, over the next couple of months, with the approval from DCNR, we'll go out to bid in the early part of the year, and I would say we would commence construction in the springtime.
Thank you. Let's now move to the solicitor's report, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. With new council members coming on board in January, I just thought I'd remind everybody of the changes to the Borough Code that require newly elected officials to submit an affidavit of residency, which I provided to the borough a year or so ago when that law was changed. And also that the new changes to the Borough Code require the mayor to submit a statement indicating whether he intends to perform wedding ceremonies. And with the change, with the new term arising, will be a recommendation that happen again, and I will provide the mayor with that documentation.
The answer is yes,
I
and
figured.
for the same price I've always charged.
I thought the answer was I do. Any questions for Mr. Scott? In light of Mr. Scott's comments, I do wish to express congratulations to a person who should be joining council come this January, Amy Johnson. She's here tonight. And also express the gratitude to everyone who ran in the recent election, everyone who voted, and everyone who served at the poll. Thank you very much. All right, we've moved past the solicitor's report, and we now are at the mayor's report.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on that, Bob. I do perform ceremonies, and it is for free, and any borough resident that wishes to get married, even on short notice, I've done it within a day, we can perform them here in the parlor room, and there's no cost. So I just thought I'd mention that. That was not on my report. I had no intention of mentioning that to you.
You've used 2 of your minutes already. You've used 2 of your minutes.
Yeah, usually I keep this to about 2 minutes. It won't be tonight. Please see the attached complaints to the police department for the month of October. The department handled 790 complaints. There were no burglaries during the month, again. I'd like to bring up well, not bring it up, but mention the transportation bill which passed tonight, about an hour ago. I would like to say the credit goes to a lot of Democrats and Republicans who voted out of their comfort zone for this bill. It didn't pass by a lot. And credit goes to both governors, Governor Corbett and Governor Rendell, who both supported it. So the R3 apparently will be running for many years to come. So I appreciate all the House members and the Senate members that chose in what my view is the right path, even though it's against some of their philosophies. So I hope I said that correctly without getting in a lot of trouble. We had a nice Veterans Day parade last week, and next week we're going to have, next week Santa's coming to town. It'll be a little different. It'll be at the courthouse again, but the scene is going to be beautiful. So we're trying to get an outline of that scene so people can also see it before they come. We're going to be sending out something to the schools to make sure all the schools know exactly what you're going to get when you come to the night. Santa will probably not be receiving kids, but Santa and the Fanatic will be going around and greeting everybody, and we're asking the Fanatic to stay a little longer. So hope you don't mind that.
I also understand there might be Star Wars characters.
There are Star Wars characters. And, Drew Rod, I think, is in charge of the Fanatic, and I guess the Star Wars folks too.
It's a natural.
To follow up on what Bob was talking about the parking garage, we are putting together an extensive plan for parking, especially since we may not have parking in that garage for a period of time in 2014. So there are several meetings going on, and a meeting next week with the county to see how we can work together to help partially, never completely, but partially solve and see what advances we can make in parking. With that, I asked the chief to write this so I read it correctly concerning the parking violation notice and how we're changing that. So I'm going to read this paragraph if it's okay. I've read it several times so I know what's actually in it. The borough parking tickets will be changing in their appearance. The parking enforcement officers will be able to print out parking tickets which will automatically upload to the police department computer. The parking enforcement officers will carry a small printer and communicate with it through an app on a smartphone. The tickets are a white strip of paper, we have examples here for you, similar to a retail sales slip. Tickets will be issued with a yellow envelope to make the payment easier and enable the public to continue to use the ticket drop boxes. The current style yellow envelope tickets will still be issued by police officers. Below is a sample which we can show people. And Jeff, I don't know if we talked about this, putting it up on the website, maybe tomorrow. Examples, so it's sort of a notice to everybody what is, what we're doing. Tonight serves as a notice to the press what we're doing. It's a little bit different. I watched. I could even do it, I think. Also another change to a lot of people will be.
I think for the benefit of the folks at home, I think you wanted to get a shot. So.
Oh, okay.
Monica did show.
I only had orange copy paper, so that's.
So it's not yellow.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Thanks, Eric. I was on a roll here.
I know.
One of the changes we're going to implement immediately, and Jeff, I'd like this up on the site too, because a lot of people aren't used to it. We are going to enforce the 3-hour parking limit and have those that choose to feed the meter all day, and at least want them to know. The MBA is notifying everybody that this is going to happen. And the idea is to open for retail, have more parking spots for retail. I guess some of the people that work on State Street, there's usually several parking spots over on Baltimore Pike, which I believe are 8 hours. I get confused sometimes of what the hours are where. So they get in the habit of not parking there all day. And then retail can let their customers know that there should be more parking for you to pull over and do what you would like to do. We will be hiring one more parking enforcement officer. I think there will be more coverage. The coverage will be a little different than what you've seen. It won't be as predictable. I think it'll be efficient. And any questions? I think I covered everything I wanted to cover on
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does anyone have any questions of the mayor at this time? All right, we'll move on. We're now moving into the council committee reports. We're going to take things out of order tonight and head straight to my agenda item. For those of you who are at home and wondering why did we start a little bit late tonight, it was because we had a discussion here among ourselves, as well as others, about the project at Providence Road and Baltimore Avenue, commonly known as the Wawa project. And we had quite a bit to talk about, and as a result, we went a little bit over. And that's why we're starting this meeting a little bit late. We've had quite a bit of talking, and I understand that our solicitor has been doing quite a bit of wordsmithing in order to capture the essence of what it is that I believe that we've agreed upon. And I'm going to turn to him to explain what the exact wording of the motion is so that we get it right. Before I ask him to do that, I would like to say a few words about this project. I think that we've all seen this project evolve over the past number of months, and I think that I can speak for myself, probably speak for others as well, that the project has evolved in a way that is for the better. Council has been working on this for the past several months. It first came before us formally this past September. We've been working over the past couple of months really to get a sense of what this project is, what can be done so that in our eyes it can be made a better project, one that addresses the concerns that we have heard from many of the residents. So tonight, I'm going to make a motion concerning the preliminary subdivision land development application of this project. I have said several times that there's several steps to this process. Tonight is one of those steps. What we decide on tonight does not necessarily mean that the project will go forward, nor does it necessarily mean the project will not go forward. It is a step that we are prepared to take tonight. So I'm going to turn to the solicitor and have him explain what it is that we are voting on in more technical terms.
Okay, well, you are voting on, you're considering a resolution to approve the developer's land development and subdivision plans and to impose conditions on those plans and on the project. Apart from so the resolution that we discussed in the prior to the 8 o'clock meeting has one new paragraph 33, and it would read as follows: for purposes of addressing the traffic conditions on southbound Providence Road. The borough reserves the right to require a developer to reconstruct a portion of Providence Road north of Baltimore Avenue by widening the roadway and installing 2 southbound left turn lanes onto Baltimore Avenue at developer's sole cost and expense. Alternatively, the borough reserves the right to require a developer to make a monetary contribution of at least $290,000 to be used by the borough for off-site traffic improvements. This way, if in the event that PennDOT doesn't approve the 2 southbound lanes for whatever reason, the borough has the ability to get a monetary contribution for other traffic improvements, and it leaves to the borough that decision as to whether these southbound, the 2 left turn lanes are the best means of improving traffic at this location, or settling on some others if some others come to your attention.
Point of clarification, you said southbound lanes on Baltimore, you mean southbound lanes on Providence, I believe.
Southbound turning onto Baltimore is what I mean. Left hand onto Baltimore.
Okay,
What I was trying to
can you
say.
read that again just so that we're extremely clear?
Yeah, just a second. By widening widening the roadway and installing 2 southbound left turn lanes. It says at Baltimore, I want to say on to
Right,
Baltimore.
from Providence,
252.
Yeah.
or from 252.
No,
When you
you
say
prob-
widening the road, you should say widening 252, so we know what's getting widened. Widened,
Yeah,
please.
okay. Okay. So it'll read, I'll reread that whole first sentence. The borough reserves the right to require developer to reconstruct a portion of Providence Road north of Baltimore Avenue by widening the roadway and installing 2 southbound left turn lanes from Providence onto Baltimore. At developer's sole cost and expense.
We changed, saying the roadway, it said by widening Providence Road and installing 2 southbound lane, left-hand turn lanes.
Sure.
You say 252 because it's a state highway. No, it's 252.
Why don't we cover all the bases with Providence Road, parentheses,
AKA.
Route 20, 252, close parentheses.
And that's assuming that the plan as presented remains the same, is that correct?
Yeah, but because there's no, it doesn't address any other changes, so therefore it remains.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on the language of that particular condition? Folks at home, this is the exciting life of lawyers. Argue over words. Mr. Scott, we have a resolution in front of us that's not identified with a number. And I want to make sure that this motion, we know exactly what it is, that...
Resolution number and the heading you need?
Yep.
That is something, if we don't know right now, we can determine after the meeting just by seeing what the last resolution number was.
I want to make sure that we capture all of the 33 conditions that are on this existing document, as well as the 5 waivers.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you can guide us as to how it is that we should phrase, guide me as to how it is I should phrase this motion, I'll be happy to make the motion.
Okay. I would recommend that you ask for a motion to approve the resolution. Let me get the heading on it, please. Approving the resolution granting preliminary subdivision / reverse subdivision and land development plan approval to Commonwealth Real Estate Investments for the proposed Wawa development fronting on Baltimore Avenue, State Street, and Providence Road in the Borough of Media, subject to 33 conditions as set forth in the resolution, and granting 5 waivers as set forth as in the exhibit attached to the resolution.
Don't repeat that.
I'm not going to repeat that.
You don't
I'm
need
going
to-
to adopt that. So I make a motion, I make the motion as outlined by our solicitor.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt the resolution as outlined by Solicitor Scott. All those in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, excuse me.
Point of order.
Any additional discussion on the motion?
I just make one clarification, because I think a lot of people at home are still confused, is that, there's not a tremendous amount of wiggle room for us with regards to this right now. I think, as the President said, there's several more steps: zoning, ownership, considering right about where the Wawa wants to be built is owned by the borough itself. But with regards to a plan, a piece of paper, and a plan that stands before us, and with the conditions that we've required, I think we are somewhat mandated to approve a preliminary land development.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on top of that and just say that, I'll just repeat what the solicitor said, unless we actually can list a specific ordinance which is in violation, this application is in violation of, we are obliged to essentially approve it unless we can find anything that they violate. And in this case, I think the applicant has done a good job of listening to the needs of both the planning commission as well as council, and I'm personally planning on approving this.
Anyone else with comments? And I'll call the question. All those in favor of passing the resolution as identified by Mr. Scott, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. And the motion carries.
All right.
Thanks for all the time.
As well you are.
We'd love to have you. We'll be back next month.
Yeah.
Break this down 30 seconds to get out of your way.
Yeah. thanks.
Yeah.
All right, while we have folks who are leaving us, we have a couple of matters that we can attend to. Mr. Smith, I cannot see as part of my agenda, but there are a couple of, we know that there will be a couple of vacancies on the zoning hearing board coming in January. And so I'll take this opportunity to announce that come this January, there will be 2 openings on the media's zoning hearing board. If you have an interest in serving on the zoning hearing board, please submit a letter of interest to Mr. Smith. It is a 3-year term. They do wonderful work. It's a great way of getting involved in your community and having a say in, your community, how it looks, how it develops. So I'll ask Mr. Smith if he can put that on our website, and encourage anybody who wishes to become, be considered, submit their letter of interest. I will say that the 2 members who are stepping off the zoning hearing board are leaving for, they're leaving for their own personal reasons, and we thank them for their 3 years of service. Aside from that, I do not have anything on my agenda, so unless anyone has any questions for me, we will move on. All right, let's move on to Finance and Library. Councilman Davidson.
Thank you, President Hall. First item on my agenda tonight is payment of bills for the month of October. Finance Committee met this Tuesday of this week and recommends payment of all bills. The amounts as follows. From the general fund, $273,078.68. Recreation fund, $2,322.39. Liquid fuels fund, $10,380.97. Capital fund, $137,312.18, for a grand total of $423,094.22. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
All right, the motion is made, it's been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call the question. All those in favor of payment of the borough's bills for the month of October 2013 from the general, recreation, liquid fuels, and capital funds, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Thank you. In addition to finance, we have been doing our budget preparations, and at this point, I'm happy to present a preliminary 2014 budget for the Borough Media. I'll give you the quick highlights. Recreation Fund has got an increase, a modest increase, about 5%. Liquid Fuels Fund stays static at around no increase at all. General Fund stays similar, around $7.6 million, no increase. And our Capital Fund will have a modest bump of 11% increase, around $1.5 million. So I believe the preliminary budget has been published and is available for the public to view if you like. We will be doing a final approval of the budget next month. So at this point, I'm going to ask that Borough Council approve the preliminary budget for 2014.
Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
I think there are several areas of the preliminary budget that should be looked at, especially with regards to contributions, gifts in kind, and that can be done, I believe, prior to the December council meeting. But I intend to vote no on the preliminary this evening just based on that.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting a preliminary budget for the year 2014, as outlined in the materials that we have and by Councilman Davidson, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Motion passes.
Next up is the delinquent tax amnesty program and policy for abatement. So there's been some discussion. I will give full credit to Councilman Robinson for this concept, which is that we are looking at and will probably be approving next month the abatement of penalty and interest for all back taxes collected by our tax collector, eCollect, for years prior to 2011. Just to give people a sense of what this means, we have collected so far, let me just look over here, around $75,925 in back taxes, of which $13,474 is penalty and interest. And what we're planning on doing is abating penalty and interest alone for a period next year up through the end of March, so it will be first quarter of next year. So what that means is anyone who's received a notice of owing back taxes would effectively only have to pay for the late fees of those taxes, and all penalty and interest would be waived. So at this point, I'm not going to make a motion for council. I'm just more informing the public that this is coming. We will probably approve this before the end of the year, at which point those who have received notices or have receiving second notices will have the generosity of not having to pay those fees. In addition, I believe that council is of mind to refund the penalty and interest for those who have already paid their taxes in the amount of around $13,500. So, is there any questions among council for the program? And again, I will give full credit to Councilman Robinson for this concept. It was a team effort, but he was the originator of the idea. That said, my final motion is we've also, every year we look at our various vendors within the borough. This year, we are solely going to ask to put out an RFP for elevator maintenance services. And so I'll make a motion that council approve the issuance of an RFP for elevator maintenance services for the borough meeting.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion that's been seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of issuing a request for proposal for elevator maintenance services, that's with regard to the elevator in our building, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes. Last up, I just want to bring up really quickly, within finance, we had an intern which we hired earlier this summer who has produced a rather thick document called our capital improvement plan. That plan is still in a preliminary stage, but I would admit that it is quite a well put together document. We've documented around $5.5 million of improvements that we'd like to look into doing in media for the next 5 to 6 years. At this point, we're going to take that document, we're going to hopefully get a little bit more help to sort of wrap that up. And because the comprehensive plan is not scheduled to be approved until next year, what we'd like to do is incorporate the capital improvement plan with the comprehensive plan. And in addition, within the technology committee, we have an IT strategic plan, which also has a fair number of capital improvements in it. And so we're going to hopefully get all three of these plans sort of synchronized in the next month or two so that we can effectively plan for the next 5 to 6 years for media. And obviously make some big changes in terms of what we're trying to do in offering services to the residents. So with that, I will conclude my report.
Any questions for Councilman Davidson? Hearing none, we'll move on to Recreation and Shade Tree. Councilwoman Rowe.
Nothing from Shade Tree this evening. Recreation does have their usual activities and schedules up online. If you're interested, please have a look. They do not have anything, any special events posted as of yet, but keep an eye out. They usually do a good job around this time of year. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilwoman Rowe? Hearing none, we'll move on to Vice President Simpson, Properties, Economic Development, Fair Trade, Farmers Market.
Thank you very much. We have nothing to put before council for legislative action. And really only one announcement. I would like to thank everyone involved with this year's Farmers Market. Today was the last day for our 2013 Farmers Market, and it was extremely well received. Lots of volunteers, lots of educational opportunities for families and students, and a really good job well done. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Councilwoman Simpson? Hearing none, we will then move on to Councilman Stein, Technology, Media Business Authority, and Environmental Advisory Council.
Okay, thank you. Well, first, I can't get away without saying something about Santa coming next week. So, but I'll leave it to Councilman Robinson to explain the details of the permit. No, you go to the details. But anyway, we do have Santa coming and lots of other folks in costume next week. I also want to remind the residents that and visitors that Black Friday and Saturday parking is free in media. So just wanted to let you know that. Also that our parking meters are along State Street between Monroe and Orange are equipped with credit card readers. You get 3 hours for $2. So to make your shopping experience easier. That being said, those of you who use that understand that it is a 3-hour limit in town, and as the mayor indicated, we will start enforcing that 3-hour limit. So please be aware of that, so that the retailers and everyone can benefit from the spaces, and make sure that we have room for visitors. I also want to draw attention to this is from the White House Intergovernmental Affairs Office. The White House is proud to support Small Business Saturday. So it is a website, as I said, in honor of SBS. The Small Business Administration has relaunched the website pertaining to that, which is www.sba.gov/Saturday. And this provides small business owners with tips for holiday marketing, hiring temporary workers, and gearing up for the holiday season. It also has a link for any business owners or consumers interested in learning how to participate in the SBS. So for those of you who might be interested, small business owners. In terms of the EAC, this past week, the EAC met, talked about a number of things. So we did have a visitor there from the Bicycle Coalition of the Philadelphia region, or the Delaware Valley region, which was very instructive. Again, the EAC, like other groups here, the Rotary, the county, are all thinking about expanding the bicycle or opportunities for bicyclists in the region. This is actually a very large regional effort. They're looking to put in over 500 miles of bicycle pathways all through the Philadelphia region in one continuous circuit. And they're about, I'd say, about a third the way there at this point. So it's an amazing project. So if you want to go out on the web, you can look up the Bicycle Coalition. It's fantastic what they're doing. And so, although it won't be passing directly through media, the idea of the plan is to have access within 1 mile of residence at any given point for walking, recreation, and so on. So it's a great effort. Next thing was that just an aside with regard to the Wawa application, they did include in there and agreed to a provision to put solar, at least consider putting solar on the canopies and so on, and I was delighted to see that, and I hope they will follow through on that, that they're interested in doing that, given that we are a very green-oriented town. Last area is in the IT area, information technology. This morning we had about a 3-hour meeting to discuss the draft of the information technology strategic plan with our strategic planning, Sheldon Cohn, who's our strategic planning consultant. And I want to thank the Citizens Advisory Group that came, as well as Councilman Davidson and Mr. Smith. This morning we spent considerable time going over that plan. It outlines a number of things that we'll be able to do in the next 5+ years in terms of our information technology and bringing it to support all of our stakeholders here in media. So we're excited about that. That will actually, Mr. Cohen will actually be here at the next workshop on December 5th to give a formal presentation of that plan. The next item is, you may notice in here, some new equipment in council chambers, and it's also in the conference room. We have, council approved a few months back the provision for the ability to run PowerPoint, project it. So you see behind us a large screen. We have a projection unit here, so anyone making a presentation will now be able to just plug their laptop in, and we'll have a have the ability to do that more effectively than we have. We also have a much smaller unit, but we have one nonetheless in the conference room where the workshops are held.
And more cheaply too, I mean, for those persons who
are accustomed to spending lots of money for those blow-ups.
Yeah.
Now they can just plug their computer in and there they
Absolutely.
go.
They don't
So
have
it saves folks money.
Yes, absolutely. Also, we are rolling out our public stuff application. This is a smartphone application which allows you, if you see a downed tree, a pothole, a broken meter, anything that's going on in the borough, to email the borough directly. So you can download that. The official unveiling of that, I believe, is December 5th or 2nd. December 2nd. And I know Mr. Smith is worried that, thousands of people are going to now be inundating his office with emails, but you still can call in. But if you are interested in using your smartphone, you'll now have another avenue of reporting, certainly dangerous, hazardous intersections, downlines, all those types of things, and go directly to the borough office. I should have just mentioned this. Every once in a while, we'll get an email that people don't have our emails. So you can get our emails on our website. Mine is eaststein@councilmanstein.com, and you're welcome to email me if you have questions. But all of our emails are on the website. I also have a Twitter feed if anyone's interested. It's Eric Stein, PhD, and anyone here, I know some other folks have those too. But we do want to stay connected to you, and go to the website and find the other emails. And so that concludes my report.
Any questions for Councilman Stein?
Actually, I have a couple things. I was at Sunoco
Not
tonight.
Sam, right?
No. No, but one for the NBA too. I was at Sunoco tonight getting gas, and I noticed that they don't have any recycling receptacles at Sunoco. Can we get them to do
The Sunoco
the same
on
thing that we've
Baltimore
asked
Pike?
Wawa to do? Yeah,
On Baltimore Pike?
yeah. They have no
They should be in
recycling.
compliance, and I will
Can we get them to do solar panels as well?
I'll speak to Mr. about the recycling. Oh, I'm
They
sorry.
can't hear me? I'm sorry.
They can't hear me if I'm not on. So
I just think
We
it
can-
should
you
be
should
something
report
that
that-
we should require everybody. If we're gonna
It's
have one person do it, then we should have all of them
well,
comply.
Monica, actually, it's a state law to be in compliance with recycling provisions, and if they're not, then you should bring that to the attention of our code enforcement officer.
And just so it's not uncommon that when there is a new application, that you do ask the new applicant to comply with or do things that you may not have asked somebody who's been here for 20 years. To be very candid, I'm not sure if recycling was even used when the Sunoco opened up 20 years ago. So it's not uncommon that,
I
it's the same way as-
understand that. It's just
but
like
that's-
tonight, because after reading everything
But-
from Wawa, going to all these
as
different
we've said
points.
tonight 20 or 30 times, apples, oranges, two different scenarios.
Okay, well, I'm in for a basket. So they're all in there together.
A couple carnations.
And the second question I have is, when is the calendar of events going to come out for December? Because I already have people asking for them, so they know where Santa's going to be and what days and times and all that. And since we're getting close
You're talking about from the NBA?
from the NBA.
I will ask them.
I think it already has come up.
I thought it had already been out.
No, I haven't seen it anywhere, and I've had people asking me, this is why I'm asking.
It's also on their website, isn't it?
But people are so used to coming out and going to, especially if Santa's coming to, sorry, I said the S word, because that person is coming to Franklin Mint. There is always days and times that are listed on that, and people like to grab that calendar and put it on their fridge or whatever. So if we could find out, that'd be great to have that in the business district.
He's actually checking his
Are
list.
you talking about the print version?
Or the paper.
Okay. Any other questions for Councilman Stein? Hearing none, we'll move on to Health and Historic. Councilwoman Borough.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. The only thing I have, I believe, for action this evening is to make a motion for the resignation of the Bill Taylor, the Borough Health Officer. Do I have to do that in the form of a motion? Or because he's retiring?
We move to accept it.
We move to accept it, okay. Okay, so I make a motion to move to accept the resignation of Bill Taylor, the Borough Health Officer.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
I'd just like to say I've known Bill for years. An outstanding individual in the entire Rose Tree media community. Was never aware until he came here, his background in health, and has done a tremendous job. I think he recognizes, when to make an issue and when he can just politely ask someone to fix something. Some health officers have a tendency to get badge hungry, but he did a fantastic job, and he's going to be his shoes are going to be hard to fill.
Absolutely. And on that note, if we could send a letter of thanks.
And a fruit basket.
All right, call a motion. All those in favor of accepting the resignation of Bill Taylor, our Borough Health Officer, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
Okay. I also have a question about the engineer going back out to Minchell House. There's a possibility you can contact Kathy Larson, who's the chair. I got a message the other day that she was wondering when the structural engineer was going to come back out.
I'm looking to the borough to give me the direction, which is fine. I can set a date up if the borough wishes for me to go back out. I do not have a
Well,
problem.
apparently she has some more concerns about the house, and I believe it's about the cracks in the ceilings that were upstairs. So,
Would they be structural, though?
They can be.
yeah.
I documented, the last time I was out, I wrote a report, we have some photos, I documented that. For me to go out the next time, I'll find that report, go out, and now I have a visual comparison of what existed before to what's now. That was one of the things I do, so otherwise, I document it, so.
We need a marker to start from.
Correct. So I'll look, and I'll talk with Mr. Smith about setting a time and date up if Borough Council wishes for me to go out and look at the house. I do not have a problem.
Anybody have a problem with setting something up? It's
No,
important.
and actually, committee's meeting on Monday, so we can make sure and get the information we have and move forward with that.
Could we possibly send Jim out there first? I mean,
Yeah, Jim.
I live in a house a half that age, and spackle is my best friend. It's every other year you're filling a patch up and you have a house of that age, and I get concerned that we're sending, first we're talking about sending a structural engineer, now we're talking about sending an engineer that,
Paul, excuse me, maybe I was misunderstood. That's why I said the Properties Committee can talk about sending an engineer. We have not yet hired a structural engineer specifically to review our buildings such as Borough Hall, the Mitchell House, the theater, Trader Joe's, all of our properties to help with the comprehensive plan, what's going to be needed over the next 5 to 10 years. So before we have that opportunity to interview the top candidates, we can certainly arrange for Jeffrey to go.
that's
Mr. Johnson, can you send Jim the photographs that you've already taken so we can?
Yes, I can redo that because Jim actually photographed them and sent them to me.
There we go.
But I will find the report and I will forward the report to Jim so he will have it.
Excellent.
Oh, that'd be much appreciated. There's an old house that sits right on Providence Road, 252, and the rumble of big trucks does not help that poor house. Other than that, I really have nothing else to report for this evening.
Any questions for Councilman Rivard? Hearing none, we'll move on to Councilman Robinson, Public Safety, Public Works, Infrastructure, Fire.
Originally did not have a lot on my agenda, now have some things on there. I do apologize, I do not have a fire report for this evening, but as I say each and every month, anybody who's interested in serving and volunteering for the fire company, I'd appreciate if you please contact the fire chief. We can use administrative help as well as firefighters. Getting into more of the agenda, and I think I'm going to save you the best for last. I didn't realize how powerful I'd be that, without this motion tonight, we might not have Santa Claus coming to town this year.
It's true, it's very true.
So I could be the Grinch, and I've been called that more than once in sitting in this chair.
Let's try to avoid it tonight.
So I will start with that. There is a mass gathering permit application for the Santa's arrival, which will be November 29th. It will be, that is a Friday night, starting at 5 o'clock to 7:30. As the mayor referenced, it will not be at State and Jackson Street. It will be at Veterans Square at the Delaware County Courthouse. We have been promised by Santa's elves that the environment will be better than any winter wonderland. It'll be absolutely gorgeous this year, and when we come to the countdown, lights will go on, and the town will be just gorgeous. So with that, I make a motion that we approve the mass gathering application by the Media Business Authority for the arrival of Santa Claus on November 29th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to say, actually, all the lights will go on, and I was informed last week that the NBA actually, I don't know if you realize that we have over, I didn't know this, we have over 200,000 light bulbs in town that go on those buildings. And the NBA finished a leg, not just on State, they've done some replacing, but they also extended it up along Veterans Square. So it's going to be very bright. You may need your sunglasses for the arrival.
All right, any other discussion?
Just a question, what time is it, what time?
5:30
Thank you.
to 7:30.
Santa-
Or, I'm sorry, excuse me,
Santa
read-
comes at 6.
5 o'clock. Well, the event, I'm reading their application, Your Honor. I don't want to get the whole world confused, especially Santa. So the event starts at 5. When Santa comes, he makes that decision. None of us at this table have the power to know when Santa's coming.
The mayor does.
Got it.
Nah,
No,
not even the
I got it.
mayor.
I got it.
We have a motion on the table.
We certainly do. Let's try to avoid all of us appearing to be Grinch-like. Let's get this thing voted on. All those in favor of the mass gathering permit with regard to Santa's arrival on Black Friday, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Santa will arrive.
In follow-up to the mayor's conversation this evening with regards to our new parking violation system, our PEOs, or parking enforcement officers, will be now having a more dedicated position. Currently, they split their duties between being a parking enforcement officer and a crossing guard. That will be somewhat eliminated other than for one individual. And with that, council has had approved some month or two ago that upon training that their salaries would change. So I make a motion that at the start of the next pay cycle that our PEO's salary be increased to that of $15 per hour. That's in the form of a motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Yes, there is. With what I outlined earlier and some of the needs for parking changes, I expect to start working tomorrow with a number of people, including the parking enforcement officers. I thought the agreement was that as soon as this was done, that it would be immediate. My meetings begin tomorrow with them. I think they deserve $15 an hour for putting up with me and coming to these meetings to start off on a good way. So I would suggest that we start it officially either today or tomorrow for that reason. Time's of the essence. We need to get moving on, the changes in parking. So I would suggest that for the reasons stated.
I'm simply trying to, as in any business, you try to work with cycles, and we have a pay cycle.
I understand that.
So, you know,
I'm making a
so
request.
my motion was to start it at the very next pay cycle. If that's tomorrow, it starts.
Mr. Smith, when is the start of the next pay cycle for borough employees?
It was Monday.
This
Next
past
month?
month?
It's past Monday.
And it's every 2 weeks?
Yes.
You want to make it last Monday, or would you like to make it in the middle? Can you make it in the middle of the cycle, Jim?
It's fine.
So administratively, it's not a hassle, so
No worries.
all right. Then is the maker of the motion willing to modify the motion to make the rise in pay immediately effective?
I am going to do it at the request of the mayor. However, we'll discuss it at a later date.
Who will?
You and I will. I amend my motion to reflect the mayor's request.
So it'll officially start on Monday, this past Monday?
Immediately.
Or
How about if we
today?
yeah,
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, but tomorrow's the meeting, so.
Tomorrow would be the 22nd,
Okay.
November 22nd.
I believe we now have the motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes.
And this is just somewhat of an announcement. I'm not sure, Dawn, did you get the email from Jeff that came from Bernie? Okay, do you want to? Okay. The Civil Service Commission will meet, and this is from the chairman of the Civil Service Commission. The Civil Service Commission will meet within the next few weeks. Topic will be the application and issuing the sergeant's exam to potential candidates. Application process will be open for a maximum of 25 days, and that is according to the bylaws. So I just wanted to make that as a public statement. Two other quick things. I first want to say, I wanted to thank Bob McMahon, our mayor, Bob Diamond, Jim Jeffrey, Larry Bach, and probably 30 or 40 other people for the outstanding job that they did once again with our Veterans Day Parade. Several people, and I'm not talking people from media, but people from Harrisburg have referenced that media is now considered the #1 Veterans Parade in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I can remember years ago that we were lucky to get 200 people to show up, and the estimates this year were somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000 people. We need to do better next year, Your Honor. But this is just one of these events that I think are really fantastic, and that really did make me start to think, and too often we hear the police reports and things of that nature, but just in this fall alone, our police department has had the Halloween parade. We shut down the entire business district. We have had the Veterans Day Parade. We shut down the entire business district and managed to keep things going. We have had our Jazz by Night. We have a walkathon that occurred in September that we shut down the entire borough. And then moving forward, we have Santa's Arrival, which will bring numerous thousands of people. And last but not least, to close out the year is New Year's. In talking to our police at Veterans Day, I thanked them, and one of the officers just looked at me and they said, it's just another parade. They've gotten accustomed to be able to handle events that the overwhelming majority of the police departments in Pennsylvania would be terrified to handle, and they do it as a no-brainer anymore. And I just would like to thank our police department for all these events, and that they also make it safe, but also a very enjoyable event. So kudos to the police department and the fire department and everyone else that provides help in these events.
So can I make a
No,
comment?
that's my report.
All right. Now I'll make a comment about your report. As some of you may notice, Paul and I have our differences at times. On Veterans Day, everybody thinks I'm a great guy and I announce everything. And when something goes wrong, I said, Paul, go take care of it. And he goes and he takes the blame, and everyone thinks Paul's the bad guy on Veterans Day because there's a lot that goes wrong behind the scenes. So, thank you.
We work together well.
Yeah, we do that. Sometimes we disagree. You have to notice.
Any questions for Councilman Robinson? Hearing none, now is our bookend of the public comment and privilege of the floor. Is there anyone here who wishes to come before council? If so, please come before the mic, identify who you are and where you live.
Yeah.
Mr. Dory.
Brian, I can't walk too well, but I'd like you to...
We'll make an exception.
Okay, thank you. Brian, I'd like you to maybe have a moment of silence for President Kennedy, who was assassinated 50 years ago tomorrow, since we have so many Democrats on the council. And
Well, Democrat or Republican or
Republican.
independent or whatever
Right.
your stripe is, there was a great loss that day.
Right.
And I think that you are right in asking that we all reflect upon the meaning of that.
And actually, he was the first president that I voted for. My first presidential vote. Was anybody else alive when he was president?
Michael, you told me you voted for Abraham Lincoln first.
Another side.
Michael, just a comment, every president is everybody's president.
Great.
There's no party when it comes to that.
This guy was special.
Yes,
For sure.
thank you, Mike.
Sure.
Anybody else who wishes to come before council at the present time? Hearing none, actually, I believe that Vice President Simpson has a word.
Yeah, I just would like to encourage everyone who lives here in Media, in the greater Media area, to please consider and encourage you to shop locally this Saturday on Small Business Saturday and support our local businesses here in town so everyone has a great holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. I'd like to suggest we do a motion or a moment of silence for the death of President Kennedy and then adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving.